Welcome to Ponca City Public Schools Board Wrap-Up Show. It is the monthly show where we talk about the Board of Education meeting. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Thank you for watching. And Superintendent Shelley Arrott with us again. And Superintendent Arrott, boy, it's been interesting.
It's been a busy month.
It's been a very busy month, a very busy April. We have a lot to talk about on this edition of the Board Wrap-Up Show. And we'll start, as we always do, with the Board of Education Awards, and there were some of those on Monday.
Well, each month we recognize either a certified employee, a support employee, and a friend of education, and this is one of our favorite times of the board meeting, our favorite portions, because it is a chance to showcase our employees or people who are so supportive of our school district. Our certified employee of the month this month for April is Danya Gartside, and Danya is an instructional coach, and she's housed at West, but she works all over the district. And when I say instructional coach, she's not like an IT person who fixes printers. She helps our teachers to implement technology into their instruction, and she's worked for the district a long time, and she's a true asset to many people in our district. The support employee this month is Melinda Phillips. She has been a paraprofessional with the district for many years. She's been at Liberty for a long time, but for the past 2 years she's been over at Woodland. She does an excellent job. Students love her. She's a great employee. Our friend of education this month is one of our school resource officers who's housed at the high school, and his name is Eric Welch, and he is a great support to the district. He's good to our kids. He maintains integrity of our students. If an issue comes up, he's just wonderful to work with. So we have some really great people who make Team PCPS a great place to be and work.
Yeah, always a great way to start out the Board of Education meeting with those awards. And then getting right down to business, Trout was in the spotlight, Trout Elementary, with a data assessment review. What exactly is this?
Well, we've talked about this before. Throughout the year, we have our lead principals come in and share their current data, and we assess continually along the way so that we can work on specific skills that students need to master to be successful, to go on to the next skill. And each month we have one or two of our lead principals come in and just share the current reality. This is what is going on. This is what our data speaks to us. This is what we're doing to ensure academic growth for our students. And then they also take the time to highlight some of the things that they are doing unique to their school. And Carla Fry is our principal at Trout, and she had an exceptional presentation, very informative. These are anywhere from 7 to 8 minutes long, these presentations.
So there were some contracts reviewed and discussed at the Board of Education meeting. I know there were several, just a few.
There were several, some to highlight. Brett Smith, our Executive Director of Operations, had applied for a TSET grant for a walking track at Liberty. We received it. It was a $20,000 grant. Liberty is one of our few schools that does not have a walking track, because we know that exercise is so important in regard to brain research. So they are going to be getting a new track with the $20,000 grant. And then there was a little bit of a balance, about a $4,000 balance, and that's going to come out of Liberty's activity fund for money they've raised themselves. We had to renew our annual municipal accounting system software, which is our payroll and our leave, and that needed to be renewed. One thing that we're going to do at East and in the Pohai Assembly Center is we're going to put new flooring in, and we approved those contracts, and that's out of building fund.
Oh,
so
very nice.
Those are some of the main contracts. There were a few others too.
Very good. Well, every year, Ponca City Public Schools, they review and rehire lead principals, and that was part of the process. Tell us about that,
It's always
please.
in April. Our lead principals get renewed every year, as do our directors, our assistant principals, and our teachers, and that was on the agenda for April. And we have outstanding lead principals. They all were renewed.
All right, very
for the
good.
next school year.
Well, let's And this is the big portion of the show here.
It is.
The legislative update and information about the walkout, the aftermath. I don't know if that, for lack of a better word, but what is happening with the legislative update and what happens now that the walkout is over and classes have resumed.
Well, this last month has been a very emotional time for everyone in the district. This is my 35th year as an educator, and I have felt every emotion under the sun in the last month, and there's going to be coming a time of healing for all of us. I mean, there's been the emotion of great pride, there's been happiness, we felt defeat, but the most positive thing that I can talk about the walkout is that our teachers are now advocates for education, the awareness they have. It is amazing what they know about civics now that they may not have known before unless they were a social studies teacher. Revenue sources, school funding, and they have befriended and supported each other. And that's one of the goals of our district, is to build culture within the district. And with 12 sites, it's hard to know names and faces. Right. So it's amazing the advocacy they have demonstrated. And what that teaches us as a district is we aren't complacent for 10 years anymore and take 10 years of cuts, that we move forward and that we're active in supporting Oklahoma education. So it's been an amazing movement. And there have been both positive and negative implications, but we know educators have the power to make things happen, whether it be during election time or advocacy at the Capitol. But it's been a strong movement, and I want to share just a legislative update. There have been a lot of bills that have been passed and signed by the governor. I'm not going to discuss all of them that have happened in this last month, but just some of the main ones. House Bill 1010XX was passed, and the XX means second special session. For every bill that has an X behind it, that's one special session. 2 would be the second special session. And this was the major revenue bill that generated more than $428 million from the following sources. And one is a cigarette tax, which is $1 tax on each pack of cigarettes. The gas and diesel tax, which is 3 cents on a gallon of unleaded and 6 cents a gallon on diesel. The gross production tax was raised from 2% to 5%, which will have a huge increase in revenue. Right. However, we are still the lowest in the nation with our gross production tax at 5%. And then in this original bill, the hotel motel tax was in, and that tax stipulated that there would be a $5 tax on each rental of a hotel or a motel room. That portion, that revenue raising portion, has since been repealed, but that was in the original bill. The fiscal impact for fiscal year 19 was about $475 million, and it was signed by the governor. Then we had House Bill 1011XX, and this is the bill that caps itemized deductions. Its fiscal increase is about $94 million, and it was signed by the governor. House Bill 1012XX was the repeal of the hotel motel tax. And there was a huge movement from economic development and tourism that did not want that tax to be on there. They thought it would discourage people from coming to Oklahoma to a conference or whatever, and it could hurt our economic development. So that fiscal impact was a loss of $46 million. The repeal was signed by the governor, by the way. House Bill 1019XX was collection of online sales tax, and you may have heard it called the Amazon tax. It's really not an Amazon tax. It's just an easy way to say the bill. This requires facilitators of third-party sellers that use a platform such as Amazon to be a third-party seller, that they have to collect and remit sales tax. That fiscal impact is about $19.5 million for the fiscal year 19, and it has been signed by the governor. And keep in mind, when I say the impact, these are just estimates because we don't know that for sure. House Bill 1023XX was a big one. It was the pay raise for our teachers, and it created a new minimum salary schedule. And the minimum raise for a certified teacher is $5,001. The maximum raise is close to $8,800, depending on their level of experience and the level of their degree, whether it's bachelor's, master's, or doctorate. But overall, the average raise for teachers was about $6,100 per certified teacher. And in that verbiage, it's all certified employees with the exception of the superintendent. So our administrators and our teachers will all receive a raise. We're still waiting on a little guidance as far as from our administrators and verbiage from the State Department, and we'll know more about that. That was signed into law by the governor. House Bill 1026XX was also passed, and this provides a $1,250 raise for full-time support employees. So if a support employee is a 10 or 11 month TA or works for us 12 months, they will receive a $1,250 a year raise. And we pay our support employees hourly. So what we'll do is we will increase our hourly rate to ensure these people get the $1,250 a raise. Now, if they work for us part-time, obviously that will be prorated. But our full-time 10, 11, and 12-month people will all receive $1,250 raise. That is signed into law by the governor. House Bill 3375 is the ball and dice bill, and it has to do with casinos. Formerly, craps and roulette were not allowed in our casinos, but now they will be, and it's estimated that this will bring in about $24 million, and that's been signed into law by the governor. And then we had a common education appropriation bill. It's House Bill 3705. This was basically the fiscal year 19 State Department of Education appropriations, and our education budget was passed on April 1. And it's supposed to be by law, but this was only the second time it's happened since 2003 that it was passed by April 1. The projected overall common education appropriations is $2.9 billion.
Wow.
It has been signed into law by the governor. And then just to summarize these bills that affect Common Ed, again, the overall appropriation was $2.9 billion, which was a $480 million increase over fiscal years 18, our current budget from 18 to 19. The 19% increase will fund the state's largest ever teacher pay raise. And we talked about the averages. They will receive, on average, about $6,100. It varies from level experience. Our most experienced teachers will receive the biggest raise, and I really like that portion of the bill because we've talked about this before, Sean. We experience extreme teacher shortages in Oklahoma. Right. That's why something had to happen. So that would encourage our people who are close to retirement to stay at least 3 more years. Right. If their salary increased by 20% and they stay in education 3 more years, that means their retirement will increase by 20% for the rest of their life. So this is a game changer. And when you think about experience of teachers, when they come in, your last year out, you should be at your very best because we continue to grow each year. So this will keep our experienced teachers in. I'm hopeful. Yeah. And maybe even some of our retirees will decide to come back to work for us. We love having our retirees come back to work for us because they are great teachers. And the pay raise and the per pupil spending will put us above the regional average for the first time We're at the bottom in the national average, but what was killing us was our teachers haven't been walking out for the last 2 weeks. They've been walking out for the last several years, walking to Texas, to
Right.
Kansas, to Arkansas,
Yeah, good
to
point.
states around us. And when I talk to parents about that, our teachers are leaving us.
Yeah.
They're going to these bordering states. So that will help us be more competitive. Our per pupil spending this year will be just about $300 more per pupil than it was last year. And then we have a projection from the Oklahoma Tax Commission that our new revenue will outweigh our expenses by about $23 million. That's if there's no cuts, or you may have heard of special interest groups that are trying to take this to a referendum, which is basically a veto by the people of the tax raising measures. So a lot of this hinges on a lot of things, but with any state appropriations, there could be issues that arise. To talk just a little bit about the walkout, our students missed 10 days. They missed the last 2 weeks. They came back in this past Monday.
Right.
And in our calendar, we have 8 days built in because the law requires 1,080 instructional hours. We have 8 days built in. It's a cushion if there's some extreme inclement weather. Heaven forbid that if we have a tornado or anything like that. So we had some cushion with the walkout. We had 8 days that our students didn't have to make up, but we missed 10. So we're changing our April 30th PD day, professional development day, which would not have had students, to an instructional day, and we're changing our final snow day, May 14th, to an instructional day, which will allow for all 10 days to be covered. So our students don't have to come in early, they don't have to stay late, and our calendar will not change. So parents will still be able to go on these vacations that they have planned, or the plans that they have. Our summer school can still continue. So it worked out well for our students, and there won't be any time to make up. Our teacher contract is a little bit different. They have a contract where they work 185 days, and they actually missed 8 days. Even though students were out 10, we brought our teachers back in on the last Friday of the walkout for a work day, and just time to prepare for our students. And I'll have to tell you, our schools went above and beyond because our community was so great to us. They welcomed parents, they had party hats, they had signs, they played happy music, they had special assemblies. So our kids were really ready to be back to school. And I'm telling you, our teachers were ready to see them as well. So they're going to have some days to make up, and what we're going to do is we're going to add some time to each day to maintain within that calendar too for our teachers.
So on a national level, we were at the very bottom. Did all of this action elevate us up?
It did, and I can't tell you to what level we
Right.
are. We're certainly not at the top, but it's a good start. I mean, we have been in a hole in education for 10 years, and you can't dig out of a hole, a 10-year hole, overnight. So the thing that's encouraging is this is a positive movement going forward, and our teachers are now advocates. They understand what's going on, and we're not going to let this happen again.
Yeah. And what about testing, required testing? How has this affected that at all?
Well, I can't remember if we talked about this last time or not,
We
but
did.
ACT testing occurred anyway on April 3rd. Even though the teachers were on walkout, we had some teachers come in, and then everybody in this office, our 12-month people, just worked. Anyone who's certified, it was all hands on deck. And I'll have to tell you, it was probably the best ACT testing we've had. Miss Maralt at the high school organized it. I have to give a shout out to her. She did a great job. We had 94% of our students come in and testing.
Wow.
But now the regular Oklahoma State testing program, Joy Hoffmeister, we were originally told we couldn't extend the window unless it was due to a natural disaster, but she gave up some of her cushion time for
Okay.
people to submit things, and that the testing window was extended by a week. We brought our kids back in on Monday, and we didn't greet them with a test. We
Yeah.
wanted them to get acclimated to start back. Our first day of testing was actually Tuesday, which was yesterday, and things went wonderfully.
Good.
I mean, the students were eager and ready to work, and our staff were amazing. They just welcomed our students and just
Yeah.
told them they were so glad to see them, which they were.
Yeah, they really were. Well, that is quite the board wrap-up. A lot of things to talk about. And
Lots of
course,
information.
a lot of information. And, staying connected with Ponca City Public Schools now easier than ever. Not just this show, wrapping up the entire Board of Education monthly meeting with Superintendent Arrott, but there are other ways to stay connected. Social media, it's there, and then the Ponca City Public Schools app is incredible.
We got out a lot of notifications with our Ponca City Public Schools app. Our Facebook page reaches a lot of people. In fact, when we didn't make a call on school being closed till late in the day, and we took a little complaint about that. Why are you waiting so late in the day? Well, because there could be some movement at the Capitol.
Sure.
We didn't want to call at 10 a.m. and then
Right.
there was movement at the Capitol. And I know it was inconvenient, but I am telling you, our entire community, including our teachers, were connected to their devices because they knew when the results were going to come out. And Mary Ladd, our public relations person,
Right.
said that anytime she would post things on Facebook, there may have been like 30,000 shares.
Yeah.
And anytime I did a press release, Mary might cut and paste snippets of that and
Right.
put it out on our Facebook page multiple times, and then it was shared all of
Yeah.
those times. We got very few calls on is school in session or not, because with social media, hey,
Yeah.
they knew it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we encourage you to get that Ponca City Public Schools app if you haven't already.
Or like our Facebook page.
Or like the Facebook page, and stay connected with Ponca City Public Schools. Well, that's going to do it. Shelley Arrott, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I want to say thank you to our community for supporting us. Your immense support it just made our hearts swell when our teachers were picketing at Food Pyramid.
People are bringing them coffee and
Coffee,
everything. I know.
pizza, donuts,
Yeah.
gas cards. I mean,
Yeah.
it just pride is
Yeah.
one of the emotions. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just so our community has been wonderful, and I will have to say this on this whole movement. We are more of a team within PCPS and the community than we have ever been.
Yeah.
So it's been great.
That's a wonderful thing. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Board Wrap Up Show. Thank you for watching. Until next time.